You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Locked On listeners out there. It is Crossover Thursday across the Locked On Podcast Network. And today, Locked On Patriots and Locked On Chiefs crosses the streams. I'm Mike Debate, host of Locked On Patriots. And joining me today is my good friend and colleague, Chris Clark, host of Locked On Chiefs. Chris, it is always an honor to cross the streams with you. It is always my privilege. We don't get a chance to do too many of these, but anytime the Patriots and the Chiefs lock horns, it's always a lot of fun.
It is always a lot of fun, and we haven't got to do a lot of these lately, but it's not like we didn't when Mahomes first started coming to Kansas City, and really the Patriots used to be the number one team, and the Chiefs have been the number one team in the AFC West, so they used to play a little bit more than they have lately, but maybe we'll see that getting into that in the next couple of years.
Hopefully, from a Patriots standpoint, you are correct. The Chiefs are definitely still very much in the thick of contending for a Super Bowl. The Patriots, folks, not so much. Looking at days gone by, but bottom line, always a lot of fun to welcome the defending champions, and that's exactly what the New England Patriots will do this Sunday, 1 p.m., Gillette Stadium. And don't forget, folks, this Crossover Thursday episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Kansas City Chiefs entering this game 8-5, coming off of a tough luck loss to the Buffalo Bills this past week. The Patriots coming off of a win, a very rare win for the New England Patriots in these times here in 2023. But you and I both know that as much fun as it is to break down the matchups on the field and the chess match between two Hall of Fame coaches in Bill Belichick and Andy Reid, there are always storylines heading into these matchups. As the visiting team coming into Foxborough, what is the biggest storyline right now in Kansas City regarding the defending Super Bowl champions?
They keep beating themselves. I've used that I don't know how many weeks now, and I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing it, but it's the reality of the game. It's the reality of the product they're putting on the field. Between turnovers and penalties and drops, they're beating themselves. And you look at this past week, the first series, they're driving down the field and Mahomes doesn't get the ball up high enough and throws an interception to AJ Espinosa. And they're driving the field. They hadn't had a third down yet. They're likely going in for a touchdown would be my guess, although I guess you could easily argue they're 30-yard lines to their field goal range. That field goal would have been, put them at 2020 instead of having to try to win at the end. They're, trying to tie the game. They fumbled later, probably also missed out on points on that one because the Bills hadn't stopped them in a couple of series. So, turnovers are killing this team. Penalties, obviously, talk about Kadarius Toney all you want. And yes, he was offsides. And yes, I understand that. But penalties have just killed this team. They've happened at hugely inopportune times. That is a shining example of that happening again. And then drops. They didn't really have that many drops. They had 2 drops against the Bills. One of them, Richie James is going over the middle and he gets hit right after the ball gets there. That's a tough one, but it is a drop. And then you have another one by Kadarius Toney, and that hurts. But the Chiefs are leading the NFL in drops. If they can't get past those things, it's going to be very hard for them to make any waves in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. And I am saying if right now because the Broncos are now 1 game behind, and it does become a question.
And I mean, it definitely is something that is eye-opening for NFL fans beyond Kansas City because you're used to seeing this team as the juggernaut that essentially runs through most of the AFC, and their biggest challenge awaits them in the playoffs, probably deep into the playoffs. I know Patriots fans can relate to that. It's been a while since that's been the case here in New England, but we remember being that type of team that really faced their biggest challenge in late January. I've said several times here on Locked On Patriots, whether it be describing the New England Patriots or describing the Chiefs or really describing any team, going back to back in terms of trying to win Super Bowls is one of the toughest things that anyone in any competitive team sport can attempt to do. Do you think the back-to-back factor has had any effect on this team, or are these uncharacteristic sputters that the Chiefs still can fix but might be running out of time to do so?
I would love to say that they could fix it. Right now, it just seems to be the reality of who they are. I will say that I agree with you. It's very, very hard to go back to back because you have a target on your back every single week. And the past couple of weeks, they're going up against two teams that have, playoff ambitions, and the Packers and the Bills. And now they're going up against the Patriots, who obviously are already eliminated, but they're playing for pride. Kansas City at this point, if they win out, they have a chance at the 1 seed. It's a much smaller chance than it was a week ago. But in this situation, if they win out, they could still be the 1 seed. They could still be hosting the AFC Championship game. It's possible, but the problem is they have not been able to get out of their way. And until they show that they can start doing that and they can put some games together where they're not killing themselves with turnovers and drops specifically, that becomes a huge issue. I mean, right now they have a negative turnover. They're negative on the turnover margin, and you cannot do that and win games successfully, and you especially can't do that in the playoffs.
It will be a tough road. There's no question about it for the Kansas City Chiefs, but they are well equipped for a deep run with the talent they have in all three phases. And of course, any team coached by Andy Reid always has a puncher's chance. And that is something that I think both teams can identify with here, Chris, because as long as the New England Patriots have Bill Belichick on the sidelines, you kind of feel good about their chances in each and every individual game, or at least we have for quite some time here in New England. Whether or not Belichick will remain on the sidelines is actually the biggest story coming out of New England right now. A report by NBC Sports' Tommy Curran 2 days ago essentially indicated that Robert Kraft, the team owner here in New England, folks, may have already made his decision that the 10-6 loss to the Indianapolis Colts was simply the final problem that they were willing to deal with when it came to Bill Belichick and the rebuild since Tom Brady left town here. A lot of people feel that this may be Belichick's final year, and Curran's report indicated that that decision may have already been made. Curran's backed off that report a little bit in the last 24 to 48 hours, indicating that, things may change. But the reality, the harsh reality for the New England Patriots right now is that they are once again on the outside of the AFC playoff picture. 3-10, they currently occupy the cellar of both the division and the conference. And since their Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 53, to close out the 2018 season, New England has failed to qualify for the playoffs 3 times. For the 2 seasons they did make the playoffs, they were quickly ousted in the first round. Following Tom Brady's departure, the Patriots are 28-36 overall. So that is not sitting well with the Foxborough faithful. It's not sitting well with the Krafts. And you have to look at what this team is right now. They're a 3-10 football team that has not been very good, save for the victory that they had over the Steelers last Thursday night. The Patriots have not had a whole lot to celebrate. There was the Week 7 victory over the Buffalo Bills, but you haven't seen consistency. Mac Jones had to be swapped out for Bailey Zappe. There is a little quiet confidence in the quarterback room right now, but there's still not that type of play that you need on a consistent basis to be able to hang with teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. So naturally, the question is going to come, what are the Patriots really playing for? If their coach is a lame duck and they're 3-10 right now, are they playing for pride at this point? Are they playing for draft position next year? If they are, who's going to be the regime that's making that draft pick? Is it going to be Bill Belichick and company, or is it going to be a completely new regime coming in? There's a lot of uncertainty right now here in New England, and it doesn't really mix well when you're trying to put a game plan together, trying to be solid in all 3 phases, which is something the Patriots have not done this year, and attempting to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. Going to be a very tough one here in New England with a lot of extracurricular activity going on around seemingly the New England Patriots right now. Their focus should be on the field. Hopefully Bill Belichick can harness that type of energy and keep that focus on the field. It's going to be a difficult one here in New England.
Well, and the big question to me is when you start talking about whether Belichick is going to be there or not, the question in my mind is they probably have to make a move at quarterback. I don't know that you've seen enough from Bailey Zappe, and obviously you still have 4 games that you can let him play and see. But the reality is that Belichick has failed to be able to, bring along Mac Jones? Do you want him to? Do you want to give him another chance at another high-ranked QB? I mean, at that point, you could be basically ruining a second QB. That could be another first-round pick. That's hard.
It is. It absolutely is. And the question about whether Belichick is the right guy for the job is the question that's on the mind of all Patriots fans, and definitely on the mind of Robert Kraft. And the Patriots defensively have been excellent. So do you forsake defense for offense? Folks, these are all of the questions that we're going to be answering in Foxborough. The biggest stories coming out of New England and coming out of Kansas City definitely are not going to be solved with one game on Sunday. But that is what we're breaking down here on this Crossover Thursday episode. And as much fun as we have talking about stories, Chris, it always comes down to the matchups on the field. And Chris and I are going to be telling you which matchups will catch our sharp eye when this episode of the Locked On Patriots and Locked On Chiefs Crossover Thursday episode continues right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And Locked On listeners, the holidays are upon us. It can be a magical, happy time for so many. After all, it's a season of giving, whether it be gift exchanges, sending cards, donating to those in need. But whether or not your family gives gifts during the holidays, you get to define how to give to yourself. And the holidays are a great time to do that. So whether it's by starting therapy, going easier on yourself during tough moments, or treating yourself to a day of complete rest, remember to give yourself some love this holiday season. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. In the season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Chris, we talked about the key storylines coming out of New England, coming out of Kansas City, entering this game. But you and I both know that the games only go as deeply as the matchups on the field. And this is going to be one that will test both sides. As dismal as the Patriots have performed offensively, their defense has actually been pretty good, both against the pass and mostly against the run. Kansas City Chiefs obviously present problems for the Patriots in all three phases. So when you're looking at this game from an X's and O's standpoint, what are the matchups that you're looking forward to watching this coming Sunday?
Quite frankly, when I look at this game, what I really want to see, obviously, it's Bill Belichick versus, Andy Reid. And I that seems like a weird matchup, but it seems like every single time Belichick plays Andy Reid and plays Patrick Mahomes, he has something different that he does. And I'm going to be curious about that matchup. But really, the one that I'm really curious and the one that I'm probably most excited to see is Wanya Morris versus your defensive ends. I want to see what your defensive ends are able to do against Wanya Morris. And the reason becomes very simple for me. If he is able to fill in, which it looks like he's going to play another second week, he'll have another start this week. If he's able to fill in for Kansas City and play left tackle and do it to where he is not allowing a ton of pressure, then maybe they have their left tackle of the future for the next couple of seasons. And that's a huge get for Kansas City. And obviously protecting the quarterback, protecting Patrick Mahomes is going to be a key to allowing the Chiefs offense to be successful. But I'm kind of focusing a little bit more on the left tackle for the Chiefs because right now that's a big question mark. And obviously with the struggles of wide receiver, not having to try to go get a left tackle in the offseason would be a huge boost to be able to draft a wide receiver high.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the defensive ends and you mentioned what the Patriots have done. Naturally, a lot of emphasis is going to be placed on the tackles in terms of them being able to contain the run. But Dietrich Wise and Keon White are probably going to be the guys to draw that matchup. And I'm looking forward to seeing that as well, especially with a seasoned veteran like Wise, who's been very good against the run. He was a little bit more of a threat against the pass last season. Dietrich has done a very good job of adapting his game to more of an assistant on the run defense than he was in previous years. But Keon is definitely someone that can make things happen as a rookie. Got to harness his aggressiveness a little bit. I'm probably putting that very generously, but that's something that I know Patriots fans are going to be watching very closely. obviously there's going to be an eye on the owner's box on Sunday. There's no question about it for a lot of obvious reasons. But the reason I think that Patriots fans are excited about this matchup is not so much about the significant other of this gentleman, but the play that he brings on the field, and that is Travis Kelce. And who is going to match up the New England Patriots defensively? Kyle Duggar has typically been their tight end eraser, but you and I both know that Travis's skill set goes beyond just being, trying to be contained as a tight end. This is a guy that could very easily make it as a top shelf receiver in the NFL, someone that can facilitate the offense like we saw last week. I don't mean to bring up a painful memory for Chiefs fans, but they should take a lot of pride in the play that Travis Kelce did attempt to execute to really, I think, give the Chiefs an opportunity to win that game last Sunday. That was about as heads up and about as smart of a play as you'll see in the NFL. So do the Patriots utilize someone like a Kyle Duggar to exclusively cover him, or are they going to provide linebacker help, or are they going to provide someone like a Jabril Peppers, or even an Adrian Phillips that we haven't seen a whole lot of, who has a history of defending tight ends? I can't wait to see what the Pats are going to do with this one.
Quite frankly, that's going to be a fantastic matchup. But I think the thing that separates Kelce from really all the other tight ends in the NFL is he looks at the game from a quarterback perspective. He knows where everybody is going to be on the field. He knows the defense when he lines up. He figures it out, and he knows where he's going to go to try to find an open spot in the zone. And if you're playing man-to-man, good luck, because he's going to give you some kind of shake that's probably going to give him, 2 or 3 yards separation to be able to give Mahomes a place to get a target. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. It's always a lot of fun watching Kelce line up against any of the teams because you're absolutely right. They're going to have to try to figure out how to take him away. And if you can, then that makes the Chiefs offense that much more easier to guard. And that's going to be something that will help the Patriots in this game. Another matchup I'm looking forward to is really just to see what Steve Spagnuolo does against Bailey Zappe. Spagnuolo is one of those guys who always gets in his bag of tricks when he plays a quarterback for the first time, and this will be the first time he's playing Bailey Zappe. What's he going to do? Where is he going to be sending blitzers from? One of the keys, and I think that this is going to be something that a lot of people don't look at, is how does New England come in and try to attack the Kansas City defense? And the reason I say that is because if you line your receivers further up outside, that takes away some of the ability to blitz at times from the cornerback position. So Absolutely. How does that play into this game? Is that something that the Patriots are going to do? Or are they going to keep wide receivers closer in? Because then that gives you the ability to send Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, who have both shown that they have the ability to get after the quarterback. So going to be something fun to watch there and see what Spagnuolo throws at Zappe at this point.
Yeah, without any question. Bailey was actually asked about that on Wednesday morning, about the penchant for the Chiefs defense to be able to blitz and show different looks. And again, I think what it's going to come down to is the ability of the offensive line to provide protection. The New England Patriots offensive line has been much maligned throughout this year, Chris, and with due cause. They really have been a turnstile at times, or a bay of turnstiles for whoever has been under center, whether it be Mac Jones or whether it be Bailey Zappe. But the move of Michael Waynu out to right tackle, allowing Sidy Sow as a rookie to come in and play guard, has really allowed some stability on the right side. And now you're seeing guys like David Andrews and even the second-year left guard Cole Strange get not only experience, but also practical training to be able to play into his position. One of the things that I thought were really interesting is that Cole Strange actually comes in tied with Creed Humphrey, the Chiefs center, for the 7th fewest pressures allowed since Week 12 among interior offensive linemen, with at least 100 plus pass blocking snaps. That's something that really is a feather in the cap for this kid, who really has been, I don't want to say dragged through it here in New England, but there have been a lot of people that would have preferred that pick be used on an offensive weapon, someone that could give Bailey Zappe someone to throw the ball to, for lack of a better term. But Strange has actually really stepped up his abilities since the bye week, really. I think he's been much better, and that does spell well. So if he can continue to be a factor, that might give Bailey Zappe that extra second or two to make things happen. But if he's falling victim to the blitz the way Mac Jones did, especially those second and third levels that caused Mac to open at the top in the wrong direction, and really, I think, confused him and put him at a disadvantage, you're going to see a lot of the same for the New England Patriots. The Chiefs defense is well suited to be able to do that.
Well, and one thing that I will say really quick is it does look like Kansas City should be able to get Drew Tranquil back, and that would be huge for their defense. And it's not just because of the way he plays, middle linebacker, because Nick Bolton is back. So that's a big thing for Kansas City as well. Is you have your run stuffer back, you have your guy that can really help out in the pass in Drew Tranquil back. And the thing you talk about Cole Strange is I do agree with you. I think he's been much maligned because people were looking at him as being so much lower of a draft pick than New England took him at. So it's almost unfair in some ways, the scrutiny that he's gotten. But, he can't help where he was drafted. He just has to go out there and play. But I'm looking forward to this game because Kansas City's defense is starting to get to the point where they're getting a little bit healthier. Obviously, they're still going to be missing Brian Cook. He's on IR. He won't be back in this game. But I do think that Drew Tranquil coming back can really help this defense as well.
Yeah, without any question. And, I think also New England has to give credit where credit is due to, in my opinion, the best player in the league. And I don't think I'm making any enemies in Kansas City by saying that. Patrick Mahomes is still head and shoulders above the rest, and he, consistently will be. But will the Patriots pass rush be able to provide any type of discomfort for him on Sunday? It hasn't been the smoothest of years for Patrick this year, but he's still completing 67% of his passes. 3,398 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 picks. But like you said before, if Kelce is getting his rhythm, finding his lanes, that opens up so much for him. And then you're talking about Rashee Rice and guys that can really give Patrick an opportunity to make things happen. New England's front seven has been very good. They've been one of the best in the league, but where they can be vulnerable is in the secondary. And if Patrick starts being able to get time to take the Patriots apart in that regard, he can have some success there. So Patriots need to be mindful of that. Guys like Jonathan Jones, J.C. Jackson need to be on their game this weekend. Otherwise, things could get ugly in a hurry because Patrick Mahomes is the best in the business at making you pay for mistakes or bad coverage. Pats need to bring it, and they need to bring it in a big way on the field on Sunday. Chris, it's almost that time. We're almost time to make our final predictions for this game. Also, provide our keys to victory. Exactly what do the Patriots and Chiefs need to do if they're going to be on the winning side of this matchup? Chris and I are about to reveal those when we wrap up this Locked On Patriots, Locked On Chiefs crossover Thursday episode right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patriots fans and Chiefs fans, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. Make this Sunday afternoon matchup in New England a little bit more interesting with our good friends over at FanDuel. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and enjoy the home stretch of the NFL season. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Patriots fans and Chiefs fans, thank you for joining us here today on the Locked On Podcast Network and for crossing the streams with us and my good friend Chris Clark, host of Locked On Chiefs. I'm Mike DeBate, host of Locked On Patriots. And Chris, we've arrived at that time. We've talked about key matchups, things we're going to be watching, the big stories coming out of both camps. But ultimately, in order to achieve victory, the Chiefs and the Patriots are going to have one key factor, or maybe multiple key factors. I don't want to put words in your mouth yet, my friend, but when you look at the keys to victory for both teams, obviously you being the Chiefs expert, what do the Chiefs need to do to make sure that they're on the winning side in Week 15?
Eliminate penalties, eliminate drops, and eliminate turnovers. And I know I said that is the biggest story, but unfortunately, that's what they have to do to win. If you get to a point where you win the turnover battle and you eliminate drops to where maybe you only have one in this game, I think you win the game, and I think it's probably not close. But that's the big problem is they turn the ball over, they get penalties, and they have a bunch of drops. So if they eliminate those things, I think that we both could agree that probably the Patriots or the Chiefs are the better team in this situation and should win handily, probably even. But they have to play like they actually want to win and they take care of everything they need to do to be able to win.
Yeah, without question. Very, very well said. From a Patriots perspective, if the Pats are going to be victorious on Sunday, they need to do what they did against the Pittsburgh Steelers last Thursday. They need to maximize their time of possession, and they also need to effectively run the ball early to set up the type of offense that Bill O'Brien wants to run. You want to run some play action with Bailey Zappe, take some deep shots down the field, but ultimately you want a simplified game plan for your second-year quarterback. And the Patriots are not going to face an easy time with that. This Chiefs defense has been sporadic when it comes to stopping the run, but they have a lot of great guys up front. And you've talked about this, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Nick Bolton. I mean, there are a lot of guys up front that can make this run game for the Patriots very difficult. And the fact that Ramondre Stevenson is probably looking at another week on the shelf, that puts an awful lot on the shoulders of Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke has been very good in situational football, and he played very well against the Steelers on Thursday. But he's going to need to carry that load because you know that the Patriots are going to look to keep Bailey Zappe as clean as possible. The best way they can do that is to establish a strong running game. If the Chiefs give the Patriots problems running the football, it's going to put an awful lot on the shoulders of their young quarterback, and that's been a problem for the Pats this season. Even though Zappe's got a little more confidence and is throwing the ball better than Mac Jones has all season, it's still a tough task against a defending champion defense like the one that the Chiefs are employing. The Pats are facing a long day if they can't do it.
And I will say, I don't mean to make a joke, but I kind of have to laugh looking at your injury report. Are you going to have enough wide receivers available for the game on Sunday? Because it's just that's a laundry list.
It is a valid question. You take a look, Kayshon Boutte with a shoulder injury. He's been on Belichickian double secret probation pretty much all season long. Now, the injury is valid, but
I was just going to say, which is funny because I think that's probably why he dropped in the draft as far as he did also is because of probably why he's in the doghouse of Belichick. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a valid question. There is something that has prevented him from seeing the field earlier because he hasn't been a stalwart on the injury report all season. That's been a late development in this season. And as well, you're also talking about guys like Devontae Parker, who's banged up right now. He did not suit up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyquan Thornton is actually healthy for the first time in a good long while, but he's been used sporadically. Puts a lot of pressure on the Patriots tight ends. Hunter Henry could be someone who's targeted often and early in this game, as well as Mike Gesicki and maybe even a big play attempt to Pharaoh Brown, who's shown that he can do that as well. So, yeah, the Patriots may not field a robust history of wide receivers, but a guy to look for, Demario Pop Douglas, the rookie wide receiver, maybe one of their more explosive playmakers back on the practice field, folks. If he's active, look for Bailey Zappe to target him and probably do so more often than not. So very good question, Chris. And that leads me to my final question for you. This is going to be a tough one for the Pats. The Chiefs are coming in. They're not happy. They want to reestablish their position in the league as one of the alphas heading into the playoffs. No better place to do it than with a 3-10 team. What is your prediction for this game?
You know, it's really hard for me. I think Kansas City wins. Unfortunately, I've been picking Kansas City win all the games that they've lost for the past couple of weeks. So that makes it more difficult a little bit. But I still think Kansas City's the better team here. It's the question of can they get out of their own way? And I think the Kansas City should have won the last two games. I think they're better than both those teams, but they beat themselves. And I will say this. Bailey Zappe played a better game against Pittsburgh than I was expecting him to, so that is concerning. But Kansas City's defense has been phenomenal pretty much all season, and if they can get to a point where they get their offense going and get to even 24 points, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a lot more than the Patriots are going to get to. I would expect the Patriots to maybe get between 10 to 14 points with the way the Chiefs defense has been playing and with what I expect Spagnuolo to do to Zappe. In Kansas City, if they get over 20, I don't think that the Patriots are going to have a chance to win this game unless they get some turnovers and some defensive scores.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on the money, folks. And again, it pains me to pick against the Patriots as much as I have this year. In my 4+ years as host of Locked On Patriots, I've never picked the Patriots to lose more games than I've picked them to win. That streak ends this year. Obviously, the defending champions are a lot to handle. Patrick Mahomes will obviously be on his game as he usually is when he plays the Patriots. The Chiefs have so many different ways that they can beat you, both on the ground and through the air. And that Chiefs defense, I think, deserves an awful lot of credit. They've been playing, like Chris said, on another level this season. And I think their ability to contain Bailey Zappe and company is the difference in this one. I like the Chiefs in this. I like them 24-14. I grinned a little bit when you said 24 points because that was the score that I wrote down prior to us starting this up here today. But, folks, we would love to hear what your predictions are, whether you're a Patriots fan or a Chiefs fan. If you're watching this on Locked On Patriots or Locked On Chiefs, definitely check out the work that Chris does each and every day on Locked On Chiefs. He and Ryan Tracy put out some of the best content in the NFL, not just in Chiefs lore, but all over the NFL. They are truly one of the alphas here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's always an honor to join you on the microphone, my friend. Check out Chris on X at Chris Clark NFL. And for those of you that want to check out Patriots coverage, you can definitely catch me each and every day on Locked On Patriots at MDABATE NFL. Chris, very good luck to you this weekend. Enjoy the game. Thank you for joining me here today. And folks, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and crossing the streams with us here on Locked On Patriots and Locked On Chiefs. On behalf of Chris Clark, I'm Mike Debate, reminding you to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the game on Sunday.